Live.
Leah's live. No thanks to AT&T or any of the other internet providers, let me tell you.
It's been a week.
Good grief. Good grief. Technology, the greatest and simultaneously the worst thing that we all deal with, right?
Yes, friend or enemy. It can be both.
Both of those things. It has been, at least the internet has been working. So I'm not going to yell at it because I want it to keep working.
Yep.
So thank you, internet. Thank you for working today. Now, please continue to work.
Yes.
That would be swell.
Yes, and we got through several recordings of our podcast on Zoom, for which we are grateful.
Yeah. Oh Lord, that was just so we were very literally about to start interviewing someone. We
had just said hello.
Yes, we recorded in my dad's office, which is upstairs. And we'd gotten onto Zoom. We'd said hi. We had our little pleasantries. We had, our engineer told us he was ready. So we were about to start. And as we were about to start, it froze. We went, it's freezing. The internet died at that moment. And so I called our engineer, who was still on with our guest, Ken Quapis, which is this week's episode. And I said to him, please apologize. We don't know what's going on. And we went downstairs to the guy who was working in the house here. We said, what's going on? And yeah, fun from there.
And the story continues.
And then everything broke after that. But finally, yes, we have internet.
Let's not dwell on the negative. Let's not live in the past.
Did you name your baby Sherry Whitfield because of the Atlanta housewife? Are you a fan? That's not my child's name. My daughter's name is Daisy. I do not know where you got that from. But yeah, that is not her name at all.
That is false information.
Yeah, that is not her name, even kind of. Yes. Okay. Yes, everything's working, which is very exciting. Hi, everybody. Well, Scott and my husband and I had what I can only describe as a glorious moment. Reason being, our daughter's mobile, that plays music that goes around her bassinet. There's one song we couldn't identify.
Mm-hmm.
All the rest,
Mm-hmm.
Row, row, row your boat, the basics. And there's one that we could not identify. And I tried looking online to see looking at the mobile online to see if for whatever reason they listed the lullabies it plays. Could not find it anywhere. And it's been driving us crazy. We were watching a show I love that I recommend to all of you. 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown. It's a British show. You can watch it on YouTube.
The panel show?
It is. It's so funny. It's so good. And it's one of my favorite things. But this particular song came up. It's called Oranges and Lemons. Do you know this song?
Nope.
Never heard it in my life. We looked it up and it's called Oranges and Lemons. And
American song or British?
It's just a lullaby.
Oh.
Like it's just a lullaby that exists. Never heard of it in my life. And now we know that it's called Oranges and Lemons. And both of us just took a deep breath and said, tis an answer. Yes, you love it. 8 out of 10 Cats is one of the best things. It drives me nuts that we can't watch it here easily and we have to watch it through YouTube. I love all the British stuff. I miss it terribly. It's my favorite thing when I am back in the UK, when we're with our family, to just sit there and watch that. Oranges and Lemons was written by Ringo Starr when he was on vacation in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. His inspiration was breakfast. I hope that's real, and that's hilarious. Who knew?
So it is a citrusy
lullaby. It is a citrusy lullaby. Okay. Yeah. Wow. He was joking, and I assumed as much, but I do love that you thought of that. No, it's an old song. It's ye old song. But yeah, isn't that? So we found it though.
Well,
which is
success.
It's rare that you actually do find answers to your questions. So I was thrilled that happened. Did we enjoy the big game? We watched it. It was sports. Yep.
I've been watching quite a fair amount of the Olympics this week.
Yes.
I'm going to miss it now.
Yes.
This happens
Yeah.
I don't watch sports.
No.
I don't watch any sports.
This may shock you. He doesn't watch sports.
I don't follow sports. I don't watch sports except the Olympics.
Yep.
That gets my juices going.
Yeah. Well, I think it's immediate, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the commitment is not a season.
Right.
The commitment is however many weeks.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to show everyone what your skill would be?
Well, I can't without the full figure.
No, I think it still works. When thinking about what exactly my dad would choose were he to participate in specifically the Winter Olympics,
right?
We realized that the most logical option for him would be the luge. Tell me that's not perfect form. I dare you. Tell me that's not.
Now,
we used to joke he'd have a
in.
Oh no! You'd have to start in.
Yeah.
You'd have to start in, and somebody would just have to shove you forward.
Yeah.
But it's the thought that counts. I asked my husband which one he would want to do, and he said the biathlon one where they have to ski and then shoot and then ski and then shoot. That looks so exhausting. God love him. Who knows? How is Alice? We've missed her. She's good. She's tired, and she's a very active grandma, and she helps.
She's definitely sharing the responsibility.
Yes. I'll be honest with you. The biggest thing I think I've learned since having my daughter is first of all, I don't know how single parents do it. God bless every single one of you. I have no clue how you do it. Because if I didn't have my husband to trade off with me, I'd go nuts. And then my parents are amazing because it's little things sometimes, like, can you hold her so I can shower? Can you hold her so I can eat? I'm very, very, very lucky. And so is she. She's surrounded by love. So we're very fortunate. Oh yeah. Thank you. I sang, I last night, I put onto Instagram the lullaby I sing to her every night. We sing 2 songs. We sing Stay Awake from Mary Poppins, and we sing Feed the Birds. And that's sort of our nighttime ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing better because
good choice.
You can't go wrong. And so last night I asked folks what they sang to their kids and what their nighttime rituals were. It's a wonderful thing. Leonard, I loved your intro for the Alastair Sim Christmas Carol.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I remember when you shot that.
Yes, that was a very enjoyable assignment.
Yeah, that was lovely. Oranges and Lemons is a fable. Yeah, it sounds like, I was reading about it last night because it was just, as I say, I'd never heard it in my life. And I thought, well, any person who has the honor of being in your wonderful family is very lucky. Thank you, Ryan.
Very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, no, as I say, this little girl has no idea just how many people love her, and incredibly lucky. Ken says, opinions on the Oscar nominations.
It's a strange year.
It's a very strange year.
There ought to be a big asterisk.
Yeah.
Maybe they ought to just air for 2 to 3 hours a giant asterisk
of people going, it's tough.
It's not a normal year.
No.
It's not a normal field of films or choices. And we went to a little birthday dinner with friends last night, where our host got onto a rant about how it's not only that he's just liked the film, most of the films he's seen, but he has no enthusiasm and he doesn't understand what some of them are about. And this is a very bright guy, and I couldn't really defend an opposing position because I'm not in love with anything.
No, well, I told you my favorite thing that I saw last year was Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which is just wonderful, and will be getting a release soon, I hope, because A24 picked it up. And that was my favorite thing because it was unique.
Which you got to see at the Telluride.
I got to see it at the Telluride. It was unique and whimsical, and as I say, had deep meaning. It really does. But also was just, the kind of thing you watch and appreciate. And when it's over, you're emotional,
Yeah.
but you're also happy. And for me, what more could I ask for in a film? And the best thing was we saw that with we saw it in Telluride. It was my husband, my mom, and I. My mom had never seen the 10-minute short. If you've never heard of Marcel the Shell, it began as a 10-minute short on YouTube. Jenny Slate and her then husband, she voices it, and they created it together. And so all these years later, they did a feature. And as I say, when it comes out, I really think people are going to. I really think people are going to connect with it
I hope
and
so.
And love it. My
I hope
fingers
so.
are crossed. I told Shipra, because she's at A24 now. I
Right.
told her, I said, that's my favorite. I cannot wait. I can't wait for you to see it,
Yeah.
because I do. I think you're really gonna enjoy it.
By the way, just for the record, hi, I'm Leonard Maltin, and this is my daughter Jessie.
Hello.
And
Hello.
lest anyone be confused.
Yes.
Every now and then people are, and there's no law that says they should know automatically who we are.
I'd like them to know automatically. I'd like them to stop assuming wife. A little bit weird, guys. Ryan's asking if you're wearing a Rockin' Pin shirt. Yes, he is.
I am. I'm wearing.
We love to support
the immortal Bimbo.
You have a stain right on his face.
Oh,
well done.
Maybe we shouldn't show that off then.
We talk about our pals at Rockin' Pins. They're wonderful. They do fantastic pins, but also T-shirts. Lots of Betty Boop stuff.
A lot of Max Fleischer.
A lot of Max
characters.
Fleischer. And yeah, wonderful. So clever. So well done. And
all licensed.
Yeah, that's the big one.
And he's even licensed Cab Calloway.
Yeah.
From the
I
Calloway
think
family.
we have got this guy back here. This is one of his new little keychain.
That's the rotoscoped Cab Calloway from Minnie the Moocher.
I like that he's still in his plastic. God forbid. You know the dogs are going to grab that as soon as they can.
Yeah.
The Olympics are too depressing with the female skating controversy. You know, we were talking about that last night. For those folks who don't know, in case you are not paying attention to the Olympics, there is a Russian figure skater. She's 15 years old. This is not her fault in any way. But they found drugs in her system. And technically that means she should have been disqualified, but for reasons she was not. And pretty much all of the commentators have spoken out and said that they can't believe that she wasn't disqualified, but it is what it is. And as I say, she's a child. She's 15 years old. She has nothing to do with any of this. You know, Russia. So what can you do? Yes, we sing Hushabye Mountain from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Yes, of course. No, there's never, any Richard Sherman, Bob Sherman, any of the Sherman Brothers music is A-okay with me, because she, just doesn't get better than that. What do you think about Bruce Willis's recent movie choices?
Well, Bruce Willis likes to work, apparently. Yeah. And he still has a large extended family.
Yeah.
And he's making a living. Does that mean that I am obliged to watch those movies? No.
Evan Bauman says hi, and he's in Florida with his dad. Well, hello, Evan, and hello, Bert. It's
hello.
It's nice to hear
from you. Warm hello to
friend.
both of you.
Man, oh man. Hi, Leonard and Jesse. Hope you are well. Can't wait for Double Indemnity onto the Criterion collection. Yes.
Yeah, it's coming soon.
Man, there's never a bad time. There's just never a bad time. A couple of people are asking, obviously, about the Oscars. And
well, again, I don't know what to say. I haven't seen every single nominee. There's still a few international films.
Yeah. What have you guys loved? What impressed you? What did you love?
See, well, here's my stumbling block. The film that got the most nominations, 12, is Year of the Dog.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Power
of the Dog.
I
keep saying it too. It's fine.
Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
And I didn't care for it. In
Which
fact,
happens.
I disliked it.
Yeah.
I can respect the film. I can respect the craft that went into its creation. Those are all good actors, but I found it dense and unappealing.
Yeah.
So when you start off with that,
It's tough.
it's tough. I would have, I would have been happier if Guillermo del Toro's film Nightmare Alley had gotten that kind of
Yeah,
reception.
but at least it got some.
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
it got some.
But
It's just every year, as I say, every year it's tricky because there's going to be some stuff you love and some stuff you don't, and we don't believe. My dad very much doesn't believe in bandwagon. So if everybody loves something, he doesn't mean he's going to, and it doesn't mean that he's going to just say he likes it for the sake of it.
And I'm also not enthusiastic about two of the leading contenders
Yes.
for international feature, formerly known as foreign language film.
Yes.
Drive My Car.
Yeah.
From Japan. And
okay, the nice person on YouTube, CMLEIDI. What is a name I can call you so that I don't have to attempt to pronounce that? Because I know you always comment and I appreciate it. They're saying that Drive My Car was their favorite film.
And
a lot of people,
many people agree with you,
loved it.
including some leading critics, colleagues of mine.
Yep. Did you like Belfast? See, Belfast is another one. I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought it was good. I don't understand why they pushed Jamie Dornan so hard for awards when he's really not. This gives nothing away, but he's not in it that much. He's not. I don't think of him as the lead in Belfast. The kid is more the lead than anything else. And then Katrina Balfe, she's fantastic. I don't understand why they kept pushing Jamie Dornan when the kid and Katrina Balfe were the two big performances in it. I don't know. I thought that was kind of strange, but whatever. People like to do that. I saw the new Death on the Nile last weekend. It was really, really good. Yes, you just showed that in your class.
Showed that in my class at USC, and we had via Zoom the screenwriter Michael Green, who was a very good guest, very interesting. He also wrote the previous Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie adaptation, Murder on the Orient Express, and he was very articulate and pretty candid too.
Yeah.
This came about because he had written.
Happy Sunday, Kim.
He'd written for Ridley Scott the new Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And Ridley Scott is the executive producer
yeah.
of these two Agatha Christie films.
It all comes together, doesn't it?
And so they were sort of interested in doing these Christie films. Well, who might we get to do them? And then Michael Green, through his agent, said, "I'm interested."
Interesting.
Yeah. So it sometimes things just sort of interlock and fit together.
Yeah. Teresa's asking, you said there's two front runners. One of them is Drive My Car.
Oh, the other one is Worst Person in the World.
Yeah. Another
Scandinavian
not
film.
Foreign, international
feature.
It's a foreign film.
Yeah. Which
here's another question I have for you. Do you find the term foreign insulting? I don't.
No, foreign language. I always said foreign language.
Sorry. Foreign language. Do you find that term insulting? I don't.
I mean,
international is fine, but I don't think that foreign language.
I think it was an attempt by the Academy to make it less.
Yes, that it's an American
Hollywood centric.
Yeah, absolutely.
American centric.
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand.
But,
I just don't know.
It is located in California.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's the home of the Academy since its founding.
Yeah.
So why dodge that?
I don't know. It's strange. Victoria says, I don't know why everyone is offended suddenly. Everyone's offended by everything.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
Is everyone is offended by everything. Jimmy Carr, a comedian, another British comedian who I love, who's very funny and very naughty, he says stuff that he knows is going to get a reaction.
Yeah.
He's not a shock comic. It's not that. But he says stuff that's ridiculous. And it's like it's meant to be that, and it's just meant to make you laugh. He made a joke recently, and there's a whole conversation about should he be canceled, because that's a thing, as we know, people get canceled now. He basically made a joke about the fact that when people talk about the Holocaust, they never mention how many gypsies were killed, because they don't want to bring up any of the good stuff, is essentially the joke. And I just It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's a ridiculous joke. That's it, you know? It's not like he went further than that. And it was just meant to be ridiculous. And I don't know. I feel like if you're watching him, you know you're going to get ridiculous comedy. So if you're a person who is offended by that kind of humor because that's his humor, then don't watch him. You know? That's the part I don't
Yeah,
understand.
that there's always that option.
Yeah, I'll never understand that. If you don't like someone or something, don't watch that someone or something.
And don't support.
You know? No one makes you. No one makes you.
Yeah.
So if something doesn't work for you,
Mm.
you know, I don't expect the whole world to conform to me. I guess that's
Anyhow, back to the Oscars.
Yeah.
They're in a you know, they're in a lose-lose situation
They are,
right
yeah.
now.
It's
I mean, to announce this year's nominees, they chose two talented and likable African American performers who have nothing to do with the movie.
I don't even know who announced. Who announced?
Oh, now
I paid so little
Leslie
attention.
Jordan and Tracy Ellis Ross.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
movie wise, I don't know.
Leslie Jordan. Yeah, that's
Leslie
what I thought. Yeah, not Tracy. Yeah.
Leslie Jordan.
Yeah, Leslie Jordan, who is hilarious.
Yeah.
She's
no.
great.
As I say, no knock on
Yeah,
them.
a bit of a strange choice sometimes. Yes. Mark Evanier says, "How come movies these days don't come out in 4-minute 8mm Castle film versions?" Well, Monsieur Evanier.
My favorite 4-minute. Remember, they were called Headline Edition and Complete Edition. The Headline Edition, I ought to have one of the boxes to show you, was very small, about this. If you squared off your phone, it'd be about that size. Ran 3 to 4 minutes, and my favorite was an excerpt from W.C. Fields' film "Never Give a Sucker an Even Break," and it's the chase scene, so it's all visual because these were silent. Not only were they short, but they lacked the soundtrack. We made do in those days, and so W.C. Fields leans forward and mouths. You can see him mouthing, even if you're not a good lip reader.
Yeah.
"May I be of assistance, madame?" Insert card title. Can I help?
Ha!
Even at 12 years old, I thought that was absurd.
That was a little. Well, there you go.
Anyway.
I haven't been to the cinema in 2 years. Want to see the new film, The Duke? Yes, my parents saw it in Telluride and they really enjoyed it.
Yes, I think you will like that.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it. I'm really looking forward to it. John says, "Hi guys, first time popping in. Welcome. Had so much fun reading Starstruck. I'm so glad."
Oh,
that's my dad's new book.
That makes my day.
And yeah, you've gotten, I will say, because you've gotten a lot of really wonderful responses about it, and that brings me so much joy. Because it meant a lot to you to write it. And as I always remind my dad, you're a writer and you're happiest when you're writing.
Yes.
So sometimes when you're not writing, my mom and I say, get writing, make you happy, you know? Researching producer / director Brian Foy, who directed very first All Talking.
Yeah, Lights of New York.
Talking about silent films becoming talkies.
"Take him for a ride" is the most famous line from Lights of New York, which apparently Brian Foy snuck into production. He was given the job by Warner Brothers to work at what had been the Vitagraph studio in Brooklyn, which immediately became the Vitaphone studio in Brooklyn, to make short subjects using their new patented sound on disc process. And under the guise of making shorts, he stuck in a feature.
No one had to know.
Yeah.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday to you, Kyle. Are you looking forward to The Batman? Batman is my favorite character, and Matt Reeves is one of my favorite directors. I loved his film Let Me In. Yeah. Let Me In. Because we'd seen Let the Right One In, it was hard to watch Let Me In because of
the American translation.
It's a really good one.
It's one of the, if not the best, it's one of the best.
But it's one of the, like, once you know what the is. It's hard to watch it, but he's a talented guy. Yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to the Batman. I don't. We don't have a horse in that race. I
No,
just want it to be good.
just want to be good.
You
That's
know,
all.
I'm not. I don't think either of us are. Excuse me. Emotionally attached to most of the comic book characters.
Yeah. Unlike your husband.
My husband, who loves all of that.
Yeah.
So I don't really care. I just want it to be good.
Yeah. I'd like to see a good movie with Batman in it, and that's all.
That's what I'm hoping. And it looks like it could be. So fingers crossed.
And yeah, and I do like Matt Reeves' work. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. His Apes trilogy is solid too. Yes, it absolutely is. 2021, definitely another asterisk year. Yeah. Are you excited for 2022, which is seemingly very normal so far, especially with this weekend's success?
Well, I'm cautiously hopeful.
Yeah, I dare not say it out loud.
I'm cautiously
You
hopeful. People are there. I just read a column in yesterday's New York Times by a reporter who went back to the movies for the first time to see Worst Person in the World,
Yeah.
and had the impression that she was, and the theater was pretty full, and she had the impression that she was not the only one there back at the movies for the first time in a theater, and sort of the growing awareness of how much she hadn't experienced the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. So actually two of you asked almost at the same time about why movies are getting so long. Jonathan saying the Batman is 2 hours and 55 minutes. No one needs that. And then someone else asking, why do they get so long? I'll be honest with you. I think that it is overindulgent and kind of ridiculous.
There's no reason. If you want to make an audience sit for more than 2 hours, you better have a damn good reason.
A really good reason.
And too often there is not.
Yeah.
And if the studios were run by movie makers, filmmakers with story sense, I think they would
story sense.
slam their fist on a desk somewhere and say, "Shorten it, damn it." Yeah.
Well, it's just such a straight, when did it become okay for movies to normally, suddenly now it's normal for them to be over 2? It used to be rare.
Yeah.
And there was a reason, there had to be a reason. So obviously, like the Lord of the Rings films being longer. Well, they come from really big books.
Yeah.
There's a lot to include. That's why they were as long as they were. And because those movies are really made for fans, they want them long.
Yes.
They want them long.
Well, Judd Apatow, whose comedies run longer than the average comedy.
Yeah.
His answer is, "Where you going?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you rushing off to?
Yeah. Jonathan's saying that streaming encourages longer products. That has changed so much. But the thing is, it started before streaming started. This switch began long before streaming began.
Yeah.
Because there's still a lot of short films that stream. It's just something where they started getting longer, and then it was kind of like, well, if they're all getting longer, I guess we can all make them longer. And I just don't, for the life of me, understand that now. I mean, it's sort of like, why should a comedy be over 2 hours? Really?
Look, it's all arbitrary. I've done this rant before. It's arbitrary.
Yeah.
If a film is great,
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because you're not going to be looking at your watch.
Mm-hmm.
If it holds you, and if it, if it's paced well, then it's irrelevant. And I've seen old movies that run 72 minutes that seem like 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
So it's it really isn't a matter of.
What was that film we saw?
The Goldwinism that I like to quote is, "How long is a good movie?" He supposedly said, "How long is a movie good?" I think that says it all.
What was the movie that we saw at TCM at the Egyptian? Do you remember the film festival? We saw a movie there at night with the orchestra.
Yeah.
and it's one of the worst things I've ever watched.
Oh, it was a Garbo movie. It's not a good choice. It was not one of her better
It was
movies.
just awful. And it was one of those where I decided to go to sleep. I was bored and I thought, well, this should make the time pass. And I woke up and it was still going. And when it ended, I looked at my dad because I thought, am I the only one who thought that was kind of terrible? And I said that to my dad. He goes, no, that was terrible. I said, oh, that's exciting for me. That's nice that it's not just me thinking it's awful. We all need every now and then, we all need that reassurance that it's not just us, you know? Let's see. How could they edit Vitaphone? Carefully.
They could edit Vitaphone fine until it was, when they had a finished piece, then they applied the soundtrack to the discs.
Mm-hmm.
So the editing was done before that process. After you were screening a Vitaphone film with the picture going through a projector and simultaneously a needle going on a turntable, then you couldn't. Then you couldn't even skip a frame because that would throw everything out of sync.
Yeah. Let me, we have not interviewed Michael Myers. You've met him in passing, but never had the opportunity to, Mike Myers, I should say, never had the opportunity to interview him. I obviously am a huge fan because I am the right age for that, where everything he did was the funniest thing you'd ever seen. And Austin Powers was huge. But also, he was still on SNL, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's not to see him at the Super
love
Bowl.
him. Yeah. So I love him. I will always love him because he's someone I grew up watching, and I think that all of us sort of have that. We all have that with someone where, you see them and immediately it makes you happy just because you've watched them forever. Did you see the trailer for the new Chip and Dale movie? And if so, did it look good to you? I did. I actually saw it yesterday for the first time. I don't think you've seen it.
No.
At first, I was sitting with my husband and I went, what is this? What is this movie? And it keeps going. And then I realized that it's Chip and Dale. And then by the time, and then it wraps up and it says that there's going to be this new Chip and Dale movie on Disney Plus.
Rescue Rangers.
Yeah. And I said to my husband, I go, it's Rescue Rangers. What's going on? So I don't know what to think. I hope it's good because I love the rest. Again, grew up with it. Love Rescue Rangers. Fingers are crossed. Do you think there will ever be a return to mainstream feature-length hand-drawn films? Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? It's a medium.
Yeah.
It's a medium. It's a medium of expression. And, some films have incorporated some 2D hand-drawn animation into their methodology.
Yeah.
With success, because now it's a novelty.
Yeah.
But also it's still very effective. And
Yeah.
if you use it right, and if you have the right people doing it, it can only be an asset. Can I talk about one great movie and one not great movie?
You can. I love you too, D'Artagnan, and I miss you. Go on.
Okay. New releases on Blu-ray and
Mhm.
DVD from the Criterion Collection. A great movie, Love Affair, with Irene Dunne and Charles Boyer, directed and co-written by the great Leo McCarey. And this is one of maybe the greatest romantic comedy ever made. It's a big statement, but I mean it. And it's not just my opinion, it's widely held opinion. But the film fell into public domain because it was remade. McCarey remade it as An Affair to Remember with Cary Grant and Deborah Carr.
Mm-hmm.
So the original print vanished and it wasn't a good negative. Museum of Modern Art had McCarey's original personal print, and Serge Bromberg, Lobster Film in Paris, undertook with MoMA a complete picture and sound restoration. And this is the result. It looks and sounds great. Alice and I saw it at the TCM Festival a couple of years ago. It is just so wonderful and so much better than An Affair to Remember, which is a decent movie.
Mm.
This is the real article, and all the bonus stuff is really great, commentaries and such. So that's the great news about a great film.
Uh-huh.
This is the great news about a not great film, but it's a really interesting film. This is Preston Sturges' The Great Moment, which Kino Lorber has put out, and my old friend Konstantin Nasser has undertaken to do an accompanying feature about it. This is the film that virtually ended Preston Sturges' career. Virtually. I didn't realize until learning from this disc, from the discussion, that he made this in 1942 at the peak of his powers, having just made The Lady Eve and Sullivan's Travels and The Palm Beach Story. He made this a daring film because it wasn't a comedy. He fell in love with this book about the man who invented ether. He made it possible to operate on people without pain, without inflicting pain. And he chose Joel McCrea, his favorite leading man, to star in it. And so then Paramount wanted to monkey with it. And while they were monkeying with it, to Sturges' displeasure, he went on to make Hail the Conquering Hero and The Miracle of Morgan's Creek, two more great movies, great comedies. And then finally, he had to deal with this festering problem. And he and the studio chief, Buddy De Silva, almost came to blows over this. And Sturges, with some hubris, sort of ended. He had this incredible streak of hits. It's not just that the critics loved them, the public loved them too. Hit after hit after hit, masterpiece after masterpiece. And then this clinker. Well, Peter Bogdanovich, in part of the commentary here, says it reeks of studio interference.
That's awesome.
And it's true, because you can see they're manipulating scenes, cutting them short, coming in the middle of stuff. But I don't buy entirely that it was kind of like a potential masterpiece destroyed. And I'm going to write about that this week. But it is fascinating. Fascinating. If you're interested in Sturges, and anyone who cares about screen comedy should be interested in Preston Sturges. So that's I'm glad that Kino Lorber let them do this this examination of a deeply flawed movie.
Well, and it's always interesting when you have, I mean, it's sort of like, so obviously when they found the Orson Welles film. And in general, people have said, Other Side of the Wind, is that what it's called? Other Side of the Wind. In general, people did not like it. But it's one of those where you go, but it's Orson Welles. And it's this movie that people couldn't have before. And now here it is. And so that's kind of where the history part comes in. And it's where we joke a lot as a family that some things you watch not for pleasure. You watch them because you must, you know, and then you never watch them again. But, you know, that's, if you want someone's full catalog, then sometimes you're going to watch stuff that's not great. All right,
here's a man who wrote great screenplays, a lot of them, mostly in the end for Paramount. At the same time that Billy Wilder and Charles Brackett were building their portfolio at Paramount. And then he wrote another screenplay, which he called
Clarify your he.
Preston Sturges. He wrote a script called Biography of a Bum. And he said he would sell it to them for $1 if they'd let him direct it. That's the legend anyway. And Tom Sturges, his son, speaks on this disc about that. And they changed the name to The Great McGinty, and it starred Brian Donlevy and Akim Tamirov. And it's very good. It's a political satire, and it's very good. And it's full of colorful character actors. He loved character actors, and he gathered around him a cadre of these wonderfully funny and talented people. So that was a good start. Then he wrote and directed, and then he became the first ever. First ever is always dangerous.
One of the first. Go with that.
Well, he became the first writer-director, the first hyphenate. And probably there were others in the silent era, but in the talkie era, if not him, then no Billy Wilder,
Mm-hmm.
who followed that path.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sturges then wrote Christmas and directed Christmas in July, Sullivan's Travels, The Lady Eve, The Palm Beach Story, Hail the Conquering Hero, and The Miracle of Morgan's Creek. 7 great comedies, 2 or 3 of them superb comedies, beyond any argument or measure.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And then that.
and then there was this, and those are all done at Paramount.
Yeah.
And then he had this big fight, head of Paramount, and left. He went to Fox, made a couple of movies there. One really good one, Unfaithfully Yours, with Rex Harrison and Linda Darnell, and one with Betty Grable called The Beautiful Blonde from Bashful Ben, which is not great. And then he teamed up with Howard Hughes to bring Harold Lloyd back to the screen, and that went south. And he never regained that momentum.
Yeah.
He had this magical window of time of productivity and of greatness, and and then he became like a pariah almost. How do you do such great work and then just...
But see, but this is, I always say I'm fascinated by careers, because, and this might sound like a funny comparison, but you bring up someone like Mike Myers, right? He was huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And essentially got the green light to do whatever he wanted, which happens. Look, when Judd Apatow first came out and was making these massive hits, he had a green light. And this happens again and again. There are a lot of people you can list, where this is the case. And then where do they go? Now, some people choose to step away. Some people feel like they want to break, whatever it is. But others, it just ends. And you do think about, as I say, like, if you're anywhere near my age, when something like Austin Powers came out or any of those, they were massive. And I mean massive.
And Wayne's World.
Oh, well, Wayne's World was huge. That was some years before. But, it's like there are people throughout our film history where it's like they could not be bigger. They could not be more famous than they were. And then it stops. And I always think about that. You and I have talked about that it's like, what happens when you're that kind of famous and then it stops? What must that be like?
Or where you have this carte blanche.
Yeah. You can do anything you want.
Anything you want.
You can do absolutely anything that you want. Shrek was here. Of course, Shrek was massive. Yeah, Shrek was massive. That's what I mean, though, is he could do things and kept getting green lights because of his track record. And again, you can play this game with a ton of different people, but it is always interesting. In the same way that I'll say to my dad, why is it that certain people are not well known today while others are? I would think most people, even if they didn't know the name Charlie Chaplin, could at least identify him-ish visually. You think?
Yeah, I think so.
I think most people could.
I'd like to hope so.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the case with Buster Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie, I don't know if it's just that he had such a specific look, the tramp outfit.
Yeah.
But people can identify what that looks like. And it amazes me how some things can do that and some things can't.
Yeah. Well, when Chaplin started, of course, one of the fundamental achievements is that he became world famous within months.
Yeah.
And this is before, not only before television, not only before the internet, it's before radio existed.
Yeah.
And yet, just through releasing a film a week with Max Sennett producing, that and the promotion of that little tramp with cutouts, standees outside theaters, he became world famous.
It's just, as I say, it just kind of blows my mind. And then there are others. Now, some cases, a person, here's another, Marilyn Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
James Dean. Why, in part, are they famous? Because they died young, you know?
Hmm.
And to a certain degree, the fact and the way they died, of course,
Yeah,
and their
and that,
stories.
that helps create a mystique.
You know, so there's this kind of an image when you think of those two people. There's an image of them, sad lives, beautiful people, talent, you know. Uh, and then you think about all the other people who kept working, their colleagues who kept working
Yeah.
and were gigantic. And people don't know who they are now. Uh, or as I say, they had a moment and that's it. It just,
Yeah. Well, and people, of course, have written and will continue to write studies and books and
yeah.
theses about the nature of fame and the nature of celebrity.
Hmm.
Well, because it is endlessly interesting,
Yeah, it
and
is.
because it's so unpredictable. You cannot chart a course for any of these people. You
No.
can't. You can't manipulate. I mean, people try to create uh, another James Dean,
Yeah.
another Marilyn Monroe.
They all try.
They all tried, and or they tried to make another Casablanca.
Yeah.
Uh,
You can't.
yeah,
And that's also the thing that we bring up is that you cannot force a hit, no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, no matter who you cast. You could put in the biggest people in the world and it still doesn't mean people are going to love your movie.
yeah.
uh
Another Goldmanism.
yeah.
When people
You know
don't
what?
want to go out to see a movie, nobody
Nobody
can stop.
them. And it's true. There too, we've spoken about different actors and actresses who just people don't go see their movies. Jennifer Aniston, they kept putting her as a lead in films. People just didn't go. I like a lot of her little rom-com movies. I think they're sweet. But it didn't work. Even Jennifer Lopez in a lot of ways. Now she has a very specific audience, but when she's in a movie, there's not enough. So trying to figure out, and
And I think
that's
she's good. I think she's a good actress.
yeah, she is. But it's like how do
Oh,
you figure out who you put in? Yes, and yeah, James says you can't force a cult film. Exactly, you can't. You can try, but you just don't know what's going to stick and what people are going to love. It's just something you can't you know uh, and as I say, if you look back through our history of who were the most famous people, who would you say, if I said to you, who do you think, let's say 40s 50s, who were the most famous actors and actresses?
Clark Gable,
Hmm.
Humphrey Bogart,
Hmm.
um, Betty Davis,
Hmm.
Joan Crawford.
Hmm.
Those are some of them.
Now, how many young people can identify them?
Yeah.
uh, Perhaps if Humphrey Bogart was in his trench coat with the hat from
Yeah.
Casablanca, because that is a visual that people use, people might recognize that.
Yeah.
Um, they might recognize certain actresses, but not necessarily by name. People might be able to visually go, "Oh, I think I know who that is." Yeah, Cary Grant, all these different kinds of people. But how many stay famous?
Yeah, I know. And nowadays,
It's next level. It's a whole other
yeah, I
monster.
mean, everything has accelerated,
Yeah.
including Flame Out.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, so when we interviewed Ted Sarandos, who's one of the head guys over at Netflix, who we've known for a long time now, he talked about how the night that Stranger Things aired, Millie Bobby Brown went from having, as a random number, 1,000 followers on Instagram to having over 1 million the next day. Over 1 million. And she was 11 or 12, something like that. Can you imagine going from one to the other? And think about these hits. Think about when things hit big. Again, we've spoken about how because of the pandemic, there are shows that people wouldn't have otherwise watched. I mean, something like Joe Exotic and all that sort of stuff. Tiger King. Do you think that everybody would have been talking about something like that if we weren't all stuck home? Really? Same thing we've spoken about the chess. I just blanked on the chess movie. The chess,
yes,
the chess series.
Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit. If I describe that to you, would you think that that would be one of Netflix's biggest hits? No.
It deserved to be.
It should be. But if I said, yes, this is this movie about, a chess genius at a certain time, I would not in a million years think that it would be one of their biggest successes ever. Ever. Timing, again,
Timing.
we're in a pandemic.
Yep.
People are home. They want entertainment. So they're watching stuff. That too, certain shows, because we were all stuck at home, something like The Undoing, everyone watched. Like everybody watched it and then talked about it because it was something that sort of you could do together.
Yeah.
Everyone talking about something.
Yeah. And the fact that they released it one episode at
instead
a time,
of it being all together.
by drawing it out,
Yeah.
drawing out the conversation about it.
It meant that it wasn't just a fly by night.
Yeah.
It meant that for 2 months, people were going, oh, I wonder who did it. I wonder who did it. Again, this is the incredible thing of fame, of popularity. There too have brought up that a number of the people who are in the Marvel films were not famous like this prior to those films. People didn't know who a number of those people were, or they were sort of slightly familiar. Chris Hemsworth. People might have sort of known who he was, but not really. Robert Downey Jr., was on the outs in a lot of ways because of the different problems that he had. And it goes on. And now look at the scope, all of the people. It's mind blowing to me. Let me pull up some more of your questions.
See what's happening.
Yeah, I do see, but we can't do anything about it. Sometimes the internet just goes kablooey. So, all right. Last year, I turned one room of the house into a cool home theater with a 65-inch TV and soundbar. And when I cut the lights off, classic films look even better. It's always been my belief that movies are best when no lights are on. What do you think? Yeah, it's a movie.
Sure. I mean, that's the definition of traditional moviegoing.
Yeah.
Sitting in the dark with surrounded by strangers, watching a screen that is larger than life, and that darkness is an essential element.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole thing, isn't it? Is you turn your phone off and you're in it. It's part of why we wanted to see A Quiet Place 2 in a theater, because you needed to be quiet, which may sound obvious, but is just true. Yeah. You really need to be in it. So yeah, of course, that's the way you're meant to watch stuff. Hello from Costa Rica. Hello, Costa Rica. Recently watched Sweet Smell of Success. I asked folks what's one of the best things they've seen recently. Score, gorgeous black and white cinematography, and two of the most loathsome characters I've seen in recent memory, played by Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis. Yes, that'll get you.
That's a hell of a film. That is a hell of a film,
man.
And if you're interested, and you get, or you can borrow from your library, the Criterion Collection edition. They reprinted the 2 magazine short stories that Ernest Lehman wrote about those characters, J.J. Hunsaker and Sidney Falco, that appeared in print and sort of set the template for that film. And he shares screen credit with Clifford Odets, the famous playwright. And there's always been some tussle about who wrote what, who wrote how much of the film. But those 2 short stories by Ernest Lehman, it's all there. It's all there in those stories. The whole milieu and the whole relationship and the nastiness and all of it.
Michael says, do you think the days of re-releasing Disney classics on the big screen are behind us? No. Well,
here in Hollywood,
yeah, it happens all the time.
It's a regular tradition at the El Capitan Theater on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yes.
And a nice tradition too.
So they show stuff all the time. No, I think that they know what people want. And it's going to be a specific audience that comes out. But yeah, and it's a blast to see those things on a big screen, especially when you haven't in a while. Jonathan says, have you seen Tim Burton's successful films like Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Beetlejuice? Of course.
Hmm.
I love Beetlejuice. It's one of my favorite movies. Debbie says that since I've become addicted to TCM, I just watched Valley of the Dolls for the first time. That'll stick with you. So it's a wild one, isn't it? Alan says, since you've said that every Sunday you watch What's My Line, and I know you are a big Jay Ward fan, have you ever noticed how Mr. Peabody resembles Bennett Cerf?
Surf. No, I've not noticed that, but I will observe and see if I agree.
Interesting. A few folks are asking about Coda, if you've seen Coda.
Coda's a lovely film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that it's getting the Oscar love,
Yep.
and therefore coming to more people's attention. And Apple has sort of reissued it, however you want to put that,
Mm-hmm.
and made it available again. And it's well worth seeing.
Yeah.
It's not the most startlingly original, groundbreaking story, but it's so well done.
Mm-hmm.
And all hands involved get a big round of applause from me.
Yeah. Bill says the real Charlie Chaplin is coming out on DVD. Have you seen it? Yes.
Yes, I got to see it and introduce it at the Telluride Film Festival last Labor Day weekend.
And spend some time with the
Spent
two
time with the two young
filmmakers.
fellows from England who made it. And
They're great. They're really great.
They really put their all into this film, and it's a really good summary. It's a good primer.
Yeah.
If you don't know very much about Charlie
Yeah.
Chaplin or nothing at all, this is a great place to begin.
Yes.
The next place would be to go back to Kevin Brownlow and David Gill's brilliant 3-part documentary called Unknown Chaplin. This new film makes use of some of the elements from that,
Mm-hmm.
but it goes through the end of his life, and you'll hear the voices of several of his children.
Ken says, have you seen The Last Bust, starring the great Timothy Spall?
Just watched it the other night because of the great Timothy Spall,
Mm-hmm.
and was kind of disappointed, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very small film, and nothing wrong with that, but I thought that the director, given the sentimental nature of the story, didn't want to fully embrace the sentiment.
Hmm.
Somehow they, I think it's kind of half-baked. Never a waste of time watching Timothy Spall.
Mm-hmm. Sharif says, have you guys heard about all of the series that Taylor Sheridan is creating?
No.
I know he's working on stuff, but I don't know anything beyond that. He's very talented.
Yes.
And I look forward to whatever he makes, because he's a good filmmaker.
And I always draw a blank on that the title of that film.
Which?
With Jeremy.
Oh, the wait, is it the England going really well there? English. Hold please.
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. Oh, is it Wind? No, he didn't do Wind River. No. Hell or High Water. No, Hell or High Water is the one that got a lot of attention. Wind River. There you go.
Yeah.
That's a great, really heartbreaking, but great film. That movie, it's a very, very tough movie, but it's fantastic. Wind River. Woof. How's Grandpa Hood?
Grandpa Hood is great. It's great. It's brought a new light to my life.
Yeah. My dad is a fantastic grandpa. I will tell you that right now. She's a very lucky girl, and she loves my dad, and has special smiles just for him. So whenever she sees him, just a big old smile on her face, which is beautiful to see. Amy says, happy Sunday. Just started watching what Josephine Baker films I could find.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I've seen Zuzu and Siren of the Tropics. Any suggestions?
The other one that Kino put out was Princess Tam Tam.
Mm-hmm.
They're all fun. No great movies there, but they're all fun vehicles for Josephine Baker.
Yeah. Jerry says, do you have a favorite John Williams score? Also, why is it Raiders of the Lost Ark? Joke. There you go. You got it. Got it there at the end there. All of them?
You know,
Is
all
of them a good
even,
answer?
even his early stuff, even the stuff when he just started scoring films in the 60s.
Hmm.
Lucas Kendall has produced some CDs. You remember CDs? Of minor films like Penelope with Natalie
Yeah.
Wood, or A Guide for the Married Man. Those scores are good too. They're in a different mode. They're not, they're not big symphonic scores, but
Yeah.
they're light and they're fun and they suit the movies.
There's another one. How many composers can a person name? Really? How many people are there out there that people could go, oh yeah, I know who that is. John Williams. I mean, because his stuff is iconic, it's legendary, and even when you don't know it's him, there's stuff that you may not realize was him. I love that he's written the fanfare for the Olympics. Every time you hear that, that's John Williams. Like it's wild, and he's such a spectacular talent who's not slowing down.
And God bless him, age 90, just turned 90.
Yeah. Matt says, I loved AFI's 100 Years, 100 Lists series on CBS and wish they would revisit them. I was thinking a 100 Greatest Movie Moments theme would be fun. I would nominate The Parting of the Red Sea from the Ten Commandments and possibly the introduction of Harry Lime in The Third Man. Do you have a favorite movie moment for such a roster? Oh, man.
No, it's just...
I mean,
I have like 49 or 50.
Yeah. I would say that that there are some musical moments. So, yeah, again, my favorite movie, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. The barn raising scene is one of the greatest things that's ever happened. Yes, Ricky's saying the bike scene from E.T. Yeah, that's absolutely something I think everyone recognizes. Oh yeah, some folks are mentioning composers. No. If you're a film nerd or if you're a music nerd, of course you know Howard Ashman, Alan Menken, Jerry Goldsmith, Hans Zimmer, all those people. But I'm saying, who you have to remember that there are a lot of people, crazy as it may seem, who don't love movies. And so for them, almost anybody can talk to you about John Williams, and that as I say, that is unique.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare for a
That
film
is
composer
unique.
to become a household name.
Mm-hmm. What you got?
Well, if you were a theater owner or a theater manager in 1931-32, and you wanted to keep track of what you'd booked at your theater, you'd have a notebook like this, which is embossed,
It's
beautifully
beautiful.
printed. And this is during the Depression, remember? And if you were a Fox theater, you get a reminder on every other page of the stars of Fox movies that you might want to book, like Janet Gaynor and Charlie Farrell. And then sales aids. This you keep track of whether you ordered a one-sheet poster for your lobby, or stills or lobby cards.
And look at this cover. It's very, very cool. Leonard, do you think Danny DeVito and Carol Burnett would do well together as Mr. Snoops in Madame Medusa if they made a live-action remake of The Rescuers?
Well, they're so talented.
Sure. Never a bad time.
Okay, First National Pictures.
Oh, God, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. This is from the late 20s, 26, 27.
Look at that.
And they're promising a hit movie every week. 58 big hits a year, one smashing success every week. P.S. That didn't turn out so well.
Picky.
Promises.
Yeah.
Man. And here's where you'd fill in how many days.
Another one.
Many theaters used to book movies 2 through 3rd.
Yeah.
Wed through Sat.
Yep.
They would change the bill 3 or 4 times a week, and people would go to the movies 3 or 4
Yeah.
times a week.
Yeah.
And when radio came along, there was great concern that it was going to rob the movie theaters of that audience, which it did for a little while. Here's an exhibitor's date book. Oh, this is very fragile. I'll be careful. This is from RKO, 1939-40, and begins with Charles Laughton, not in makeup,
Yeah.
as the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't think they wanted to give away
Here's the cover.
what his Quasimodo looked like exactly.
Here's the cover. Gently, being gentle. There you go.
And this is in a loose leaf type binder. And again, and here the theater owner has penciled in the short subjects, the travelogue, and the cartoon that he's booking. With Bob Hope in Never Say Die, you could also see Frolicking Frogs and Fisherman's Pluck. Just if you want to keep track of things like that.
This cover is fantastic.
Yeah.
These are all great. Again, gently, we're being gentle.
And we'll close with this. Being here in Hollywood, things get passed from household to household, from family to family, maybe given away or thrown away or discarded. And here's the 1923 Paramount date book, which is full of wonderful stuff, great ads like that. But it's embossed because it was given specifically to Raymond Hatton, who was the leading man in a number of Cecil B. DeMille films of the teens, went on to become a character star in the 30s, in the late 20s and into the 30s, and continued working to the end of his life. He's got a nice little part in Richard Brooks' In Cold Blood in the late 60s. And he was also a great sidekick to Johnny Mac Brown in a bunch of Westerns. So this once belonged to Raymond Hatton. So I treat it with extra respect.
Absolutely. Man, oh man.
Those were the days.
You have some cool stuff, Daddy.
I'm very fortunate.
You have some pretty cool stuff.
I've been at it a long time.
Yeah.
If I tried to start a collection like this today,
even know. I don't even know how. Yeah. It's pretty neat. Well, the last question is, who do you think was the best Hercule Poirot?
Oh, that's hard to say.
Who was the best Hercule Poirot?
I like Kenneth Branagh in the new one very much. Very much. But, Peter Ustinov is such a wonderful character in himself. And Albert Finney was famous for, losing himself.
Yeah.
In every character he played.
Yeah.
So there's no Albert Finney. There's just Hercule Poirot. Then there's David Suchet in the long-running British, TV series. Again, a magnificent actor.
That's pronounced sushi.
So I can't. I won't put a pin in any of those.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. I think. When I say who's your favorite Batman, who's your favorite Superman, who's your favorite, it's in many cases it's the first one you see.
Yeah.
Who is your James Bond? Usually the first one you see. So perhaps the Poirot for you is your first Poirot. I'll go with that. My friends, thank you, as always, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you to those of you who signed up to the Patreon. We also really appreciate that. And we will be back here next Sunday, unless AT&T screws up our internet again, in which case I will be lighting them on fire. But yeah, be safe, take good care of yourselves.
And be kind.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.